would be easy to look at a single semi-final match of the Tokyo Princess Cup and think that it wouldn't really matter in the end. The only thing that matters is who gets to the final, who wins the final. Because who cares about semi-finals after it's all said and done? Well, today, I'm going to try and tell you all about the storytelling and character work that goes into every match in Tokyo Joshi Pro. Particularly the big matches. And that's why I want to talk about Maki Itoh versus Mizuki. A match that many people probably just wrote off after seeing it. But it does contain a few very important moments. But before we can go into that and why that match is important, we have to go way back. Way back. As in when Mizuki first joined Tokyo Joshi Pro. You see, when Mizuki first started in Tokyo Joshi Pro, things were a lot different than now. The confident, sometimes winning Maki Itoh was a completely shattered and broken Maki Itoh who hadn't won a single match in the 5 months there, while Mizuki was a 5-year veteran who had just entered the company. Now naturally, Maki Itoh being Maki Itoh didn't do any research on her and challenged her to her very first match, or so she believed, saying that as she was her senior in the company, it would be right for her to face her. Mizuki accepted, and we ended up with a singles match. It was actually a pretty good match, especially considering Maki was very green at the time compared to where she is now. And Mizuki did a great job of carrying her through to a pretty good match, well above her normal level. They had a good chemistry together, and their styles had a nice way of clashing. It's very important to recognise this for later. So after, when Maki loses, again, she congratulates Mizuki and says she's gonna have to keep working hard to surpass her. And they form a new tag team. Old, and you're gonna lose your shit if you don't know this. The Itoh Respect Army. That's right. Mizuki was simping for a Maki Itoh before all of us. She is a queen because of that. You do have to give it to her. Mizuki and Maki were actually a pretty good tag team. Okay, they weren't, but they were by Maki's standards, because she'd actually sometimes win when with Mizuki rather than always losing. You see, what would happen in these matches is Mizuki would put on a great performance, and then Maki would do pretty much everything she could to fuck it up. It was kind of a classic situation. Kind of like Maki's like the CEO and Mizuki's like a worker, you know, that kind of thing. This is definitely not propaganda. But in general, Mizuki would do most of the match, essentially carrying Maki through the match, so she could just focus on her character spots, which was a really smart decision, because as we all know, Maki Itoh is pretty fucking good at character stuff, and doing stuff like breaking up Mizuki's pins so that Maki herself can get the win. You know, fun stuff like that. It really made the matches entertaining, because you really did never know how Maki would do some insane shit on the outside out of nowhere. Despite all of this, Mizuki and Maki did actually challenge for the tag titles twice. And you might be thinking, wait, did they do it? Did they actually win a championship? No, of course they didn't. They lost both times. It was very disheartening. But kind of predictable, because they were like, you know, a pretty questionable team at the best of times. Although very entertaining. Well, they were a pretty entertaining team. That was until the calamity that was the tag team tournament. You see, what happened here was a classic situation. The tag champions, one half of them was injured and was not going to be able to defend the belt. So they had to have a tournament for the vacant ones, right? Except there's one problem. The tournament is random draw. And so Mizuki is drawn with Yuka Sakazaki, and Maki is drawn with her rival Miyu Yamashita, which naturally causes all kinds of chaos. To keep a long story short, Maki and Miyu are knocked out in the second round, and Yuka and Mizuki beat the team that beat Maki and Miyu. When this match is over, Maki rushes down to the ring and challenges Mizuki, who she brands a traitor, match for the tag titles with one of the former champions, Rika Sakai, as her teammate.
リスペクト軍団でタッグベルトを取れって言ってたあの言葉は嘘だったのか。まあお前は再起霊会伊藤巻組決定します。そういうことだ。首を鍛えて待っとけよ。じゃあすいません、時間もあれなんで、最後の乾杯したいと思うんで、控え室にいる選手も全員リングにもう一回上がってください。選手全員リングに上がってください。
The day of the match comes. Rika and Maki actually have a pretty smart game plan going into the match. They focus Mizuki and try and keep her in the ring to try and stop Yuka, obviously a former champion, from getting in the ring and wreaking havoc. And it works for a while. That is, until Maki makes a mistake and Mizuki escapes to the corner, tagging Yuka, who then runs wild. The match is very close the whole way through, and it is a great match, especially considering before Maki wasn't even capable of having a decent match. But eventually, Mizuki hits Itoh with the cutie special and pins her, crushing all of her hopes so far and potentially destroying the Itoh Respect Army. A month later, Mizuki and Itoh are set to have a singles match. It's no hyperbole to say that this is one of my favourite matches of all time. It's probably Maki's best ever match, arguably Mizuki's, if you are like me and you have very hot takes. But one thing I think everyone can agree on is that this match is excellent. If you haven't seen it, it will be linked in the description, because I fucking love it, dude. The start of this match feels like it's gonna go on forever. And if you're wondering what's happening, Maki and Mizuki are staring each other down, neither wanting to make the first move. Because when they do, it will probably be the end of their friendship. It'll be when they become competitors and rivals instead of friends. And I think, really, they're both scared of that. Eventually, though, they do begin. They have an incredible back and forth match with each throwing every single thing they have at each other. Maki showing just how much she's learned in these last couple months to become a new level of wrestler, to have truly gone beyond what she was, and to have really shown the influence of Mizuki over her, because now they both wrestle roughly the same style, with quick counters and excellent technical ability, although Mizuki is obviously still a lot more experienced than that. But as they start throwing everything at each other, they get tired, and they start running out of gas, and eventually neither can do anything but sit there and listen to the bell ring as the time limit draws and the bell rings. But really what matters here is what happens after the match, and I think frankly it's best if I just let Maki tell you herself.
優しさだけで、半端な優しさだけで伊藤についてこられてもお前の成長にもならねえし、いらね
So here we have the very first time Maki Itoh ever actually shows a serious level of respect to another competitor by shaking their hand. This might not seem like a big gesture, but I think maybe we'll see later that it is. Next up, we have the semi-final match, the match that this video is all about. Well, if you believe me, that is. You have Mizuki vs Maki Itoh. Mizuki's already won this tournament before, and she wants to do it again. Maki has never even reached this far in the tournament before, but she would upset everyone by doing it. She would break through the limits of who she was before, and she would truly be a contender for the world title. The match is a lot like their previous match, except for one thing. Maki is deadly serious during this match. She doesn't play at the crowd once. She doesn't do anything you would expect from her. She wrestles the match straight up and she tries and gives everything she has. Eventually, though, she does lose, again, in the exact same way she always does to Mizuki, from the Cutie special. But after the match, something incredible happens. Rather than get petulant, or cry, or focus on herself, Maki simply sits there as Mizuki offers her her hand and shakes it. And this is important. This is really fucking important. This is everything, really. Because Maki would never shake anyone else's hand, except for Mizuki, because of the respect she has for her, for this journey that they went on together, and how important they are to each other. And naturally, right after the handshake, Maki flips her off again, just so she knows they are still rivals.